Hi, my name's Adam Herendeen, part of the ULUG here in Utah, and this is Dragon Scale Castle. So I wanted to do a castle for the Green Dragon Knights. Didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but started looking up concept art for video games and movies and stuff. Found a few different things, kind of mashed them together, sketched them out, and wanted to do something different than the regular like brick stone walls that a lot of castles have. And so I used a lot of I did a bunch of shields to make it look like the walls were dragon scales.
I love that. That's so unique and very different than a typical castle build.
Yeah. It was tricky. It was difficult, especially to try and get them angled, get them layered, get them offset. Took a lot of work, but it really came together in the end, and I think it kind of gives that effect that I was going for.
What is the wall structure like underneath that allowed you to achieve that?
So I have two Technic bricks on each side with one of those. I don't even know what they were called. They have like a Technic pin and a swivel.
Okay.
And then I just put across some plates and attached them to the plates, and then I was able to just turn them down and gave that effect. It came together pretty nice, but it took about 4 or 5 different tries to actually achieve what I was actually going for. But I guess that's really what mock building's all about, right? You think something's going to work and it doesn't quite, so you rehash it out.
Yeah. Now, are these all wall sections kind of attached to anything? Or are they all placed in there?
So each wall section is separate. I felt like that would be the best way to be able to transport something like this. So each section does come off separately, and then I color coded them so I could make sure I got them back in the right spot. Because some of them are a little bit longer than others, so I wanted to make sure I didn't have to troubleshoot that when I got to the con.
And it looks like out front here, there's some action. We got a bit of a battle going on for the castle.
Yeah, we got these Black Falcons coming in, trying to take on the Green Dragon Knights, but not sure that's going to play out too well for them. They got quite the strong army out front of this really formidable gate that they're defending. Got some dragons coming out to help. Yeah, I just don't see this working out too well for them. But they got some numbers. We'll see. But I do like to build in a way that when people look at my stuff, they create their own story. So I have my story, but as I've talked to people, they're like, oh, maybe the Green Dragon guys are the bad guys, and maybe the the Black Falcon guys are gonna come in to save them, But and that's what the fun thing is. Everybody creates their own story after looking at the exact same thing.
People love to root for the Black Falcons,
They do. they really do. And so we'll see who ends up prevailing in the end. But
I love this little scene you got down here with the sand castle.
yeah, one of my friends actually built that, and it was kind of a joke. And I was like, no, leave it. Let's just roll with it. And I like to hide little Easter egg type things. There's animals scattered throughout that you kind of have to look for, but the main 3 is I always put Stripe from Gremlins in there, Gollum, and Demigorgon. They're always in my mocks. I don't know why, but they always seem to show up. So just something fun for people to look at and see, and when they see it, they kind of start laughing and get excited.
Yeah. Exactly. Now we can move into the castle and kind of the main keep itself, because this is an extremely imposing structure. I would not want to try to attack this.
Yeah, that is a very formidable, citadel or keep for sure. I definitely wanted it to look menacing and like something that no matter what they threw at it, you are not getting through to this thing. So I did build 3 different layers, and the middle layer was one of the longest ones that it took. those big windows. There's 4 main windows, and there was a bunch of just trans green 1x1s plates, and 1x1 yellow trans and 1x2s. So stacking all of those up, my thumbs were not happy with me. Each window is about, I want to say it was about 800 pieces per window. So quite a few pieces to create those. And I dropped in some LED lights to kind of give it that lighting effect, light it up, make it kind of flicker like there's candlelight going on the inside.
Something menacing is inside. They're doing something bad.
Oh, yeah, they're creating wildfire or something. I guess we'll find out. But put on some of the black dragons with the dark green wings. Just tried to give it a lot of texture and just different styles of building.
I think it works really well. I also love kind of almost a greebling effect with some of these smaller pieces you've included that just kind of stick out there and add to that menacing look.
Oh yeah, the greebling and kind of to make it look like it was strong and formidable was definitely challenging, and to try and find the right color schemes with the black, the dark green, the silver. Black, they make a lot of colors in black with the not as many in dark green and silver. So
limited pieces in those colors.
Yeah, very limited. Yeah, elements in those colors. So I had to get pretty creative, but also wanted to make it look like we've said, very menacing.
And then what are the big statues around the base there?
So I wanted to kind of the concept art I was going off of had these big giant like warrior statues on each of the 4 corners. So I wanted to kind of do that. And so the best way I could do it was using bionicle parts. And I wanted each warrior to have a different mask, a different helmet, different weapon, different armor, and to look different, but around the same size. And it came together pretty well. I really wanted to lift this up just so you could see them. I just ran out of time and couldn't get a base built in time to put underneath it. So you kind of, unless you're pretty tall, you kind of miss out seeing those.
That's what the camera's for.
Yeah, thank goodness, thank goodness for that.
But the structure looks fantastic in there. And then what else do you have inside the castle walls?
So yeah, this unfortunately, I didn't know what I was going to do until 2.5 months ago. So I threw this together in 2.5 months, which there was many times I didn't know that I was going to get it done in time. So I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do. I wanted to build a wizard tower and a mausoleum, but to kind of fill the negative space, I did recolor the blacksmith shop and put that in there to fill up negative space. Tinkered slightly with the Hungarian horntail because I didn't get a chance to build a dragon that I wanted to build either. But yeah, so I actually like the color of the recolor of the blacksmith. I think that's pretty nice. But if I had more time, I definitely would have gotten to him.
Hey, I mean, it's still a very imposing build here and very large layout, so I don't think you can fault you for not bringing enough to the show.
Well, I definitely try. Hopefully hopefully other people think it came together quite nice, I hope.
No, I think it's fantastic. I also wanted to come back to the central gate section because this also looks very strong. What were some of the elements you included throughout that?
So I burned through a lot of different series building this thing. The entire Game of Thrones, The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, like
extended editions.
It's the only way to watch it. But one of the things I did see in one of the Lord of the Rings, there was the backside of one of the gates had these chains that hung down, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. But if I put it on the inside, people aren't going to see it. So I decided to put those on the outside with some blade pieces to give it that look. And with Game of Thrones, I was seeing different carvings that like they had for like Dragonstone and stuff. So some of those dragon skulls are actually from Brick Warrior. And I kind of angled them and made it look menacing as well, along with the counterweights on the 4 counterweights on each side of those banners. Used some silver shield pieces and some silver dragon heads from the Vikings line. And I think it's a gate that any army would look at and maybe second guess going after it.
I also love the way you did the crenellations and the various kind of tops of the wall defenses here, because you brick built that and were able to use those large kind of fang looking pieces almost sticking up.
Yeah, that's not a piece that a lot of people mock build with. I think it came in like one of the Bionicles or Hero Factory as like some claws, but I thought they could look like maybe like some giant dragon's tooth or dragon claw. And so I put those on there, and I liked how I angled the silver shields just to give it so it wasn't so just straight up and down flat, but gave it a little bit, another level or layer of texture.
Yeah. Well, fantastic layout here. Do you have any idea how many pieces are in the whole build?
This one I estimated is around 40,000 for this bad boy. And people get a little sad when I'm like, yep, after Saturday, this is getting scrapped. And they're like, how could you scrap this? I'm like, well, I got next year's build I got to work on, so, which is going to be bigger and better. So
yeah, that's all really cool to see you improve and just continue to be creative and bring these incredible builds out to the show. Now, for people who want to see more of your work, do you post photos or anything online, or what's that like for you?
Yeah, I post all of my builds to my Instagram, which is Mad Viking Bricks. You can find me there, and it's all of my builds. That's all I post is my Lego stuff there.
Perfect. We'll make sure to put a link in the description to your Instagram then, and always love seeing your work here. Great work. Keep up the good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.